Welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast, where we explore the lives and lessons of those around us, hidden in plain sight. I'm your host, Tay Jones. Hello and welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast. Today, my guest is Eddie Bailey, a now productive member of society, a chef, and a father who once lived a life of crime. Eddie has spent around 15 years of his life locked behind bars, including serving a 5-year prison sentence for bank robbery. I'm really looking forward to learning a little bit about you, Eddie, kind of who you were and who you actually are today. So Eddie Bailey, welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast, man. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yeah, man. And I know we were briefly chatting before we got going. And so, I'm former law enforcement. And that was something that,
right.
That you knew. So I'm kind of thinking in my head, we might have to name this conversation like Cops and Robbers or something. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I just want to get to know, like I said, get to know you a little bit. You seem pretty young. I don't know. How old are you? To have spent 15 years in prison over your life, that's a lot of your adult
54.
life. 54. Okay, so yeah. that is quite a bit of your adult life that you spent locked up, in the system.
Yeah, it was mainly all my 20s, definitely.
Yeah.
And just a smidge of the 30s, and then there was also a little bit of the pre-20s. Yeah. And I guess if you wanted to start off correctly and in the timeline, it would be I was locked up for the first time when I was 14.
Wow.
And that was due to my parents, my adopted parents, not being able to handle things. My story starts way before that. When I was 5, originally when I was 4, I was taken away from my family due to abuse and hospital bills. And drugs in the family and whatnot. And I had 4 half siblings and 4 full siblings, and all but one were all taken away. And then we were just kind of shuffled out. And they brought me back when I was 5 to try again, and that didn't work out, and they couldn't do it. And so I was taken again.
And when you say in the foster system?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was big enough to where they finally took an inventory when the emergency bills got too high.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything about just neglect or anything like that. There was some serious problems. And so at 5, I hit the foster society, I would call it.
Yeah.
And from 5 to 9, I was stuck. Foster home, all this other stuff. And finally, at the age of 5, I met Larry, who's my father.
Your real father?
And he's my adopted father. No, he's not real. No. I from the age of 4 on, I've never seen to this day, and he's dead now. So, and same thing with my mother. So he adopted me as a single parent, which was unheard of. That doesn't really happen very much. But at the age of 9, a kid becomes like a carton of milk, and it's very unfortunate. Nobody wants it. It's spoiled. It's too old. And so it's really, really hard to place homes for kids of that age. And so they went ahead and let him do that. And as a single parent, things were rocky. We were rocky. I had a lot of issues, and a lot of it had to do with trust. I didn't really care for anyone. But as time went on with us, of course, he met a woman. They got married. They started having kids, and that was when I was 11. So we had a little bit of time, me and my dad, just being together. And then all of a sudden, that was pulled away. And then there was the mom, and she tried, but she wasn't invested in it as much as my dad was. He made that choice. She didn't. And I don't blame her. To this day, I don't blame her. But I was completely uncontrollable. I remember at the age of 13, this is a good one. Me and my friend, we decided that we would jump a freight train. And so we were living in Portland at the time, Portland, Oregon. And just off a whim, we decided to jump a freight train. So we hopped onto a freight train. And this is how completely I had no self awareness and no self preservation at all during these times.
Yeah.
And I remember going on that freight train. And I don't know if you've ever been on top of a freight train when it goes through a tunnel.
I have not. Sounds
all right.
Sounds invigorating.
Yeah,
to say the least,
terrifying. Yeah, terrifying. I remember us getting stuck at the top of it, and we couldn't get down to one of the cars in time, so we just had to lay down. And in the entire time, I'm thinking, as the tunnel came closer, I'm thinking, we're dead. We're never gonna make it. We're never gonna make it. And we made it in, but I could lift up the back of my shoe and scrape the top.
Man.
Right there. I mean, that's how close it was. We had inches. It was amazing. But anyway, so unbeknownst to us, that train went to Seattle.
Okay.
So we rode this freight train. I'm 13 years old and rode this freight train all the way to Seattle, and then finally got picked up in Seattle for curfew. Because at that time we were 13. There were big laws back then when it comes to little kids running around in the middle of the night. And so they called my dad, and he refused to come get me, which I don't blame him. So the officer, who was super, super nice, I can't remember his name to this day, but the officer was very, very cool. And he just drove us all the way back to Portland.
Really? From Seattle?
Yeah.
Just from
Seattle.
Threw you in the back of the car and took you there, huh?
Took us there, bought us McDonald's, and talked to us, and he tried to reach out, but again, I was kind of broken. The system had failed.
Yeah.
And the reason that they failed was first off, I don't believe in demolishing anybody's home. I had brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I had a family.
And they did not come with you in the foster system?
Everybody just got shot. 2 of my brothers went together, and everyone else got just shot everywhere. And so now and I don't know if people really get involved in the psychology of it all, but now you're dealing with kids who have no footprint. They don't know where they're from. They don't know who they're from.
Yeah.
And it makes connecting extremely difficult. But I always like to say that, and my dad will say the same, he'll try to tell me, well, you got in trouble because, you didn't have backup. And I want to reiterate something for your viewers. Okay. I own everything I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that taken away from me. Not because of my past, not because of the atrocities that I had to endure. Those were my choices. And when you take away a person's ability to make choices, I feel that you're taking away the responsibility also. Mm-hmm. And people need to have responsibility for their actions. And over time, I learned that the hard way. And I believe it wholeheartedly. And so whenever somebody when I'm talking to them, I talk to a lot of kids in the kitchens, and whatnot. And whenever I hear them start blaming, different things that happen to them, for the choices that they're making right now. I always have to reiterate to them, those are your choices, and you have to live up to those. And when you don't live up to those, you cheapen them, and you make it to where you're just a pawn, and you're not a pawn. So the first time I wound up going in was 14. My mom finally had enough of me. My adopted mom, or my adopted dad's wife, had enough of me, and so they told me I was going to a theme park,
Yeah.
and instead they drove me to a mental institution.
Really?
Yeah. And the doors locked behind me, and I didn't see daylight until I was 18.
Man, on what grounds? Why would they take you to some sort of institution like that?
Uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Uncontrollable.
And,
Anger issues.
yeah, and you said I think earlier, anger issues, but you had mentioned like trust issues as well. Was there drugs involved in your life at that point at all, or
No,
no?
no. I've never. I missed all that part.
Yeah.
Which was really weird. I really didn't. I didn't touch base with any of that. I mean, later on in life, maybe a pinner or two,
Yeah.
in life, but when it came to that scene, I was never really a part of it. I really doing time in my 20s. I think I kind of skipped all that.
Yeah.
And wasn't involved in any of it. My stuff was more, more silliness and circumstantial. So from 14 to 18, I was in several different places, and I did have anger problems, but a lot of it had to do with just not trusting anyone. I didn't trust anybody to have my back. I didn't trust anybody to, I knew what was good for me, and everybody else can just piss off.
Yeah. I mean, why would you? Why would you have trust in anybody at that point?
And that's the unfortunate part of it, and we're dealing with a whole society of kids right now, a whole generation of them that feel that way.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. But it's the reality. But at age of 18, I wound up, I spent 2 years from 16 to 18 in a place called Meningers.
Okay.
Now, if you look that one up, it's one of the most renowned psychiatric places in the U.S. And I mean, it's known throughout the world.
Still exists today?
It still exists today in Topeka, Kansas.
Okay.
And I got to say that they didn't fix me, but they at least gave me a little bit of normality. I was around other kids, because they had an adult spot and a juvenile spot, and they were real open, and their place was vast. I mean, you're talking probably the property for the kids was maybe 6 or 7 football fields.
Wow.
I mean, it was pretty big, and so there was a lot of room to stretch, a lot of room to grow, and at 18, I finally had enough, and signed myself out against psychiatric
advice, I guess.
Advice. Yeah. So maybe not the best, but they'd already planned to keep me till I was 21.
Really? But you could just sign yourself out as an adult
after 18.
Yeah.
But they had already, which made me worried that they had already planned to keep me, which again, in my mind back then, I'm thinking, oh, I'm a paycheck again.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just this paycheck, because I dealt with that in the foster homes.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just a paycheck. I'm just a way to get more money, because I don't feel this is working.
Yeah.
And after 4 years of being in it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, do you think that was a reality, or is that just something that you had made up in your head, do you think?
I'll go 50-50.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of reality in it. I think we look at the monetary values on things way too much.
Yeah. Big business. Yeah.
And it's a big business. And the fact that my diagnosis kept changing. And the reason it kept changing is that there's more funding in different diagnoses. All diagnoses don't have the same funding.
Yeah. I could see that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it just, no ill will towards it. I was just over it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't fixed yet.
Yeah.
Because there's an equation in there that I still hadn't found. And I'll get into that later, but I get out and I go back home and things aren't great. I'm still broken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still messed up. I'm still argumentative. I still test the limits. And I think that's a big thing for me, was testing the limits. When I saw somebody that said that they were good, I'd test them.
Mm.
Let's see how good you are.
Yeah.
Let's see you fall. And that was, for a lot of years, that's what I did. Even coworkers. I remember working at a Target, right? And we had this guy there. He was a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice guy. Seemed nice. But that's not what I tagged on. I tagged on that he was a spiritual man and incapable of human nature. And so I went at him verbally. I would poke him until finally he snapped in the break room and wanted to fight.
Yeah.
And then I looked at him and I said, well, that's not godly. You see where I'm getting at?
Yep.
If I found somebody that said that they were true and pure and good, I'd find the niche in the armor. Because I didn't trust it.
Yeah. What do you think about, obviously you had some trust issues, and someone who's pure and good. I mean, you leave a facility like that in Kansas, and then you're an adult now, and the family that you go back to, they take you back in. I mean, do you think that was pretty pure of them intentions? I mean, that from love that they took you back into the home?
In hindsight, 110%.
Yeah.
110%.
But you kept poking them?
But I kept poking them. I've been lied to so many times, and I couldn't tell a lie from a truth.
Yeah.
And being in the institutions as long as I wasn't able to navigate that. The things school gives you, especially in the public life, school gives you the ability to navigate. You can navigate the good kids, the bad kids, the jocks, socials, whatever. And it gives you that ability to see lies. I couldn't understand why somebody would lie.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me in trouble. Hey, that got me in trouble. And the fact that when somebody told me something, I never took it. I was like, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't understand it. And to me, the truth was way too much fun. I mean, it was deceitful. And I couldn't understand why people would be so deceitful, because I didn't really have any working knowledge of it. I was in foster homes, and then I was in mental institution, and now I'm free, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Yeah. I don't know what's happening with the world.
Yeah, especially at such a young age. I mean, that whole period of a young man's life where you're growing up and learning how the world is. I mean, your world was not the normal world, and that's the world that you learned to operate in.
Right. And so by the time I was 20, I did the bank robbery. I met this lady that needed help. She was hurting for money, and I'd left home. I'd bailed on the house. I think I was there for like maybe a year, and then I just went my own way, which was normal for me. Nobody really thought of anything about it, because that's just what I did, even at the age of 13.
Yeah.
Just leave. And so I left, and I met this lady that worked as a nurse, and I was working in an assisted living home as a dietary aide. And so I was staying with her. She was like I don't know, she's like a grandma to me. She was an older gal.
Okay.
I know she probably wasn't no older than I am right now, but back then that would have been grandma status.
Yep.
So I stayed with her, and then she had lost her job because she was stealing, which I didn't know anything about. But then she was going to lose her apartment and everything. And I thought to myself, I said, well, how can I help? How can I fix this? How can I go against the grain? And I made this plan to rob a bank. Never had a parking
as one
ticket.
does,
Yeah, as one. Yeah, that's just that's just a simple path.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things. I didn't even have a parking ticket. I hadn't really been in too much trouble, and zero trouble as an adult. And so it wound up that I made this plan to go into this bank, and I told her what I'm going to do is I'm going to go. And the bank was literally a half a block away.
Okay.
From where she lived.
And she knew what you were about to
do.
She
knew what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would think a 50-something-year-old would tell a kid that's as cracked as I was that, hey, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
She was unfortunately
benefiting. She was benefiting from it. Desperate times.
Exactly. So I had a plan that I would just go in there and I'd wear baggy clothes and a hat, and I'd just put a note down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right at Christmas. And so in my thought, I was like, oh, Christmas, that means people are going to pull out a bunch of money. That means there's going to be a bunch of money there. Okay. Not like it is today. Today there's no money there, but back then,
Yeah. It's like the old saying, why rob a bank? Because that's where the money is.
Yeah.
That's where you go.
Yeah, exactly. And so I went in there and I had a note and I had a little bag with Santa Claus on it. I was trying to be as polite as possible. And I went in there with the note and passed it over. The girl read it and she looked at me scared. And I just said, just fill the bag with large bills, please.
Please.
She did. Okay. I took the bag. I ran. There wasn't no trying to sneak out. There, none of that. I hit the floor running.
No weapons.
And no weapons, no nothing like that. And I just ran. And so a couple guys tried to follow me, but again, I'm 19 years old, could do the mile in under 5. They were pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
And so I did a couple zigzags, went back to the apartment, hid in the apartment. Okay, time went off. I knew I was in trouble. I gave her half the money, which all equated to about $12,000.
Half or total?
That was it.
So
half.
So you're half.
She got 6.
She got 6.
She got 6.
That's actually a lot for robbing a bank. That's pretty good. It's pretty good haul. But again, we're talking different time.
Yeah, we're talking. That would have been 1990-ish.
Yeah. And is that in Portland? Back in Portland. Okay.
Yeah, and then I got a plane ticket and went to Waukegan, Illinois, because there was a girl there that I was at the mental institution with. And I figured I'd just go over there and just lay low.
Yeah.
So I went over there. I hung out there for about a month or so. And then I went to Arizona because there's another girl that was in the institution that was in Arizona. And so I went to visit her. I got a phone call or a text in Arizona from the lady I'd been staying with. And she said the feds are on me. And I was like, okay, I don't know how, but all right. Okay. And so I just turned myself in.
Really? Did she get in trouble as well? Was that ever part of it? Or?
That was part of my plea agreement, was that she didn't get charged.
Got you.
That's why it's bank robbery instead of bank larceny. It would have been bank larceny because there was no threat.
Yeah.
No gun, no threat, larceny.
Yeah. I mean, you had a plan. You go into a bank, drop the note. I mean, what do you think? I'd like to know a little bit, like what's the before, during, and the after I mean, are you excited? Are you scared to death? Like, what's the emotions running through you before, during, and after you do this? Again, you haven't had a parking ticket, so robbing a bank's a big first step.
Going in, I was terrified. And you walk in. I wasn't a criminal. I didn't have the sight. I didn't have the ears. I didn't have the nothing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know what to see. I didn't know what to look for. So going in, I was terrified because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
While I was in there, I think it was more impatient, anxiety, anxious, but I didn't fidget, which is something that they said in the report. I didn't fidget, and it was a really, really quick transaction. Like I was in and out of there, and so it was. I didn't really search around. I didn't really look around because I wouldn't even know what to look for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know to look for bulges for undercover cops. You know what I mean? I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
And so, and leaving, exhilarating.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could do the one thing I did well, run.
Yeah. Was it something?
I ran all the time.
Yeah. Was it something that you thought, just in your mind, were you thinking, wow, like this is a lot of fun? Or did you think, wow, I'm never doing that again? Or was there even a thought of that?
It was more like when I was done, I was done.
Okay. You helped your friend, and then
I helped my friend. I'm over it.
Yeah.
There wasn't any thoughts of the future of like, hey, I can make a living doing this.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything like that. It was like, okay, now the situation is over. And I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So
it served a purpose.
And again,
yeah,
it served its purpose. And again, I ran.
Yeah. Means to an end. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where it's kind of anticlimactic because I didn't really do it for anything.
Yeah.
I did to help this lady out, and so there wasn't, I didn't feel like I got one over.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I had done what probably half of America thinks about but never does.
Yeah.
I never even thought of it like that. It was one of those things where there was a moment in time. I picked that window. I did it over, and now I'm going to continue on with my life.
Yeah.
Sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I turned myself in.
And that's in Phoenix or Arizona?
That was somewhere? In Arizona. Yeah, it was in Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in Phoenix, Arizona. I turned myself in. I just pulled over a cop. I was walking down the road and I didn't have anywhere else to stay anymore. I was out of money. So I had suitcases and a guitar and walking down the road, and I saw this cop, and no. I went into a hotel, had the hotel call the cop, which they were, something should have clicked on how severe this was.
Yeah.
By their expression on the phone call, because I'm on the phone call and I'm just talking to the police station, and I'm like, yeah, my name's so and so. I'm over here on this road, and I'd like to turn myself in for bank robbery. and they were just like, on the counter, they were just like, what the hell, and I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It was just like, all right, jigs up. Time to face the piper. And so they showed up and took me to jail, and then I wound up going back to Portland, and they booked me for bank larceny at the time.
Okay.
But then when I found out that old girl was going to get included in it, I fought against that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that two people should go down. I did the deed. No matter what she thought, no matter what she claimed, to be a part of. She wasn't really a part of what I did.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been manipulated, call it manipulation or whatever, but she didn't do the act. I did. And so I couldn't feel that she should be reprimanded for something that I did.
Yeah.
And now later on, come to find out, she was the one that turned me in. I should have done. I would have had a different opinion, but
so you found out that she was the one that ratted you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was later on. See, they let me out in a halfway house pending investigation and pending court and whatnot. And during that time, I just thought it'd be cool to take a Lincoln Continental with the keys in it and drive it to Seaside. And wound up getting into a high-speed chase on the mountain roads outside of Seaside. Had a kid there. He didn't know what was going on. He was this black kid. He was at the halfway house also, and I didn't tell him the car was stolen.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't tell him any of this. I just stopped by the halfway house and hollered his name and said, "Hey, you want to go for a ride? Let's go to Seaside."
Yeah,
you know. So we went to Seaside, and then we're there in Seaside, and he's uncomfortable. And he says, "I don't like it here." And I said, "Well, I don't know. If I were you, I wouldn't either, because I don't see any other black dudes."
Yeah.
And I am sorry. I did not realize that this was that way. I thought there'd be more people.
Yeah.
And we didn't have enough gas to make it back, so we gassed and dashed. And I don't know if you know anything about the coast in Oregon, but in Seaside, there's only two ways out.
Yeah.
North or south.
That's right.
That's it. You know, and so I didn't think about that. And so, you know, we get into this high speed chase, and I finally pull over when the front tires go. And, you know, I get out and get arrested for that. But again, I told everybody, you know, the kid didn't have nothing to do with it. You know, my buddy, he didn't even know, you know, let him go. That was all on me. It's my fault, you know, and, you know, there was shenanigans at the jail. You know, I flooded the offices downstairs accidentally. And as you can tell,
just one bad decision after the next.
I just poke.
Yeah. I
was just poking everything. And I still didn't know why. You know, I couldn't understand it. And so finally, I get sentenced. I get sentenced to 5 years for bank robbery.
What about the auto theft and you know, the running from the cops and
those were all like dropped down to almost misdemeanors.
Okay.
Because they had a bank robber.
Yeah.
I pled out to bank robbery. And so that left me a lot of wiggle room on a lot of the other infractions that I decided to do.
Yeah.
And so they sent me to Sheridan, which is a FCI.
What is that?
In Oregon.
Federal? Yeah, it's a Federal Correctional Institute? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I was there for, you know, pretty much all my time. Now, when they released me, I lied for some reason.
Yeah.
When they released me, they wanted to know an address. I gave them an address in Alaska.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I wanted to be far away. I wanted to, again, running, get as far away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where they released me to really? Alaska. Yeah. In Anchorage.
And when they release you to that, do they transport you there? They give you a ticket?
Plane ticket. Yep.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And they released me there. I had a probation officer there. I think she had an inkling in the beginning that I really wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Because she's like, "Well, where are you staying?" I said, "I don't know yet."
Yeah.
You know, she's like, well, there's an address. And I said, "Yeah, they moved."
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm trying. And so I had a little bit of help get somewhere, you know, get into another little halfway house thing, and was able to make my way out of that. And then everything was kind of cool. And I was paying my debt.
Yeah.
I did my time. I was paying my restitution. I had a job in a construction site, and I was just doing form work,
Yeah.
and ran into this girl who I started liking, and she was kind of in the friends group that I had found, and they were into all that weird shit. They were into all that cocaine and shit, and I just drank, and so I didn't really get involved in that, but I also couldn't I couldn't get a bank account.
Yeah.
So,
It's like part of your stipulations, you're not supposed to go into a bank.
Don't go into banks. Stay out of banks, dude. So, so I would keep all my money in a jar,
Yeah.
and so every so often I'd count it, and I was trying to build up to go back home.
Yeah.
Um, every so often I'd count it, and there'd be money missing, a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, and so finally I confronted her because I was like, I don't know, you're not buying anything, and she had 2 kids. And I said, you're not buying anything for your kids. I don't know what's going on. And come to find out, she had an ex that sold crack.
Okay.
And they'd been taking my money and buying crack and doing their little hoop-de-doos.
Yeah.
And so I went to his house and beat him up, took his electronics.
Okay.
And pawned it all to get my money back. I was arrested for robbery too for that.
Yeah.
Now, the officer that arrested me, pretty nice guy, pretty good guy. He explained to me the law, and I said, I understand the law.
Yeah.
I said, I get you're not supposed to.
Yeah. Did you know you're not supposed to beat people up and take their
Yeah,
electronics?
yeah,
I had no idea.
No. Huh. Yeah, you live and learn.
Yeah.
No, but I said, yeah, I understand the law, but I said they stole from me.
Yeah.
And he says, well, yeah, I know. We know this guy. He's got priors. He's got a rap sheet. He's under investigation. We know this guy, but you can't do that. I said, fair enough. All right. What's going to happen? And so that cost me, another 4 or 5 years.
Man. Yeah. Up in Alaska.
Yeah, but I did time at that time I did time in a little bit of time in Alaska, and then they opened the Corrections Corporations of America.
Down in Arizona? Did you end up going down here? Yeah.
I went to Arizona. I went to Tucson, Arizona, and got into big trouble there because I'm not a fan of the CCAs. I'm really not. They don't have enough people watching over their shoulder.
And when you say CCAs,
Corrections Corporations of America.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I don't feel
privatized prisons is what we're talking about, right?
Privatized prisons,
billions of dollars, big business,
big money, big money, but zero morality.
Yeah.
They're not good folks. And so one of my buddies got a hold of a bunch of stuff in the kitchen. He got a hold of some stickers and stuff that were in the kitchen. Some stickers were not meant for human consumption on the food they were giving us. Others had pictures of dog on it. And so he sent it out. Trying to get somebody to open up their eyes on the situation. And so nothing become of that. And in fact, the person that received the mail almost got charged for some reason. I don't know what the charge was, but that was the word on the street, was that they were going to get charged, or almost going to get charged, for interfering with CCA. So we did the only other thing we could think of. We were going to have a nonviolent demonstration in the prison. Okay. So we went out to Yard one day, and they asked me if I was going to do it. And I had a nickname back then, and it was either Short Bus, or Wingnut.
Okay.
And the reason is because once I got my teeth into something, I just couldn't let it go.
Yeah.
I just flip out on it. And this was something I could put my teeth into because this seemed righteous.
Yeah.
It seemed like there's a cause here and another button to push,
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out. We went out to the yard, and then we just refused to lock down, and wanted to talk to the warden.
Yeah.
We had a group of
assuming that didn't go. I'm just saying. I'm assuming that didn't go very well.
It was fine until this one cat. His name was what the heck was his name? His name was what was his name? I remember what he said. Steve McComb. Steve McComb. Freaking Steve McComb. I hate that guy. I still hate that guy. The assistant warden comes out on one of the side doors, and you got to understand, in Corporation of America and then the prisons, they're just big cages.
Okay.
They're not very big yards. It's just a big caged yard. You have a basketball court and a little bit of room to walk and a little elliptic weight system. That's all you had. And so we're stuck in there. And so the assistant warden comes out and, he's like, what's going on? What's happening? You're not going to talk to the warden, this and that. Just, you all need to just get down, and let's get this done. And so old Steve McComb decides to scream out at the top of his lungs, let's juke these MFers. Charged him.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the book.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't part of the plan.
Little sit-in. That's what you sunk your teeth into, not trying to attack the assistant warden.
No. I was like, this isn't part of what we were doing. Yep. And so next thing you know, all hell broke loose. I mean, you're talking CS gas, which is military grade.
Yep.
They weren't qualified to have it, and it was illegal for them to have it, by the way.
Yeah. That's no
fun. They can't have that. No, they can't have that. And so there was CS gas. There was knee knockers, which are those little things that explode, tiny little pellets.
Mm-hmm.
And they were tossing those. They were beanbagging. It went crazy.
Yeah.
And so we get pulled in. They strip us down, because after, I don't know if you've ever had CS gas, but you've probably been gassed at some point in your career, mandatory or something.
Yeah, a few times. There's no running away from it. That's for sure.
No. And all the fluid tries to escape your face.
Yep.
And so we were just, they came in, they cuffed us all up, stripped us all down, and then they made us crawl naked down the hallways. And then, see, and then when I'm talking about just the humanity of it, or the dehumanity of it, they're just not good places, and they don't give people a reason to change. You're pretty much being just housed there. That's all.
Yeah.
And so we did that. Finally, my time was up, and I could tell I was starting to change. I was starting to turn when I think I was about a week out. I wound up spending 6 months in the hole for that. Which wasn't the first time I was in the hole, because I actually went in the hole after my first offense. I went in the hole for 6 months, but that's because I got stabbed.
Yeah. You got stabbed and you got put in the hole?
And I got put in the hole, but the interesting thing about that, and this was over in Sheridan, and there was this Cuban guy, and he thought I looked like somebody that drug trafficked and stole on him. Okay, I don't know where to traffic. Okay, first off. And just because I have a bald head, apparently to some Cubans, that means that was you. Yeah. We all look alike with bald heads, apparently.
Yeah.
And he stabbed me in the lunch line. And I didn't notice it. I just felt somebody punch me in my hip. Yeah. And next thing you know, there's a big circle around me, and then guards are pounding, jumping on me. And so I look down, and I got this blood coming down my leg, and I'm thinking that they're killing me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's the guards. Because that dude was quick. I'll tell you what. But anyway, so come to find out, it is, they were just trying to get me under control and get me some help. But they kept me in the hole for 6 months because of the fact that they were like, well, do you have any enemies? I was like, no. Do you have any co-defendants? I said, no. you know, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
You're like, I have enemies now. You
Yeah,
can
I do
believe
now.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And so they wound up letting me out, and I found the guy.
Yeah.
He was in a different pod, so I snuck into his pod
Yeah.
and was going to go have a conversation with him
Mm-hmm.
because you have to.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice at that point. And that's another sad thing about the prison system is that there's unwritten laws
Yeah.
there, man,
There's a code.
and you can't back down from them. Somebody calls you the P word,
Yeah.
you're fighting. There's no question about it. There's no way out of that,
Yeah.
you know. And so I went to his cell, and the guy was actually pretty good. And this is going to go a little against prison policy, but he had a little bag of weed, and he threw it to me and apologized.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I stabbed you, but
Yeah,
here's some weed.
yeah, yeah.
What'd you think
And
of that?
well, I said, all right,
Yeah.
because that kept me in commissary for a month.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was one of those things where, okay, there's a transaction.
Yeah.
All right, we had a transaction. Good, we're good. All right, and so that
Yeah.
was the end of it. So fast forward to the corrections corporation, I noticed I was starting to change a little bit when I was about a week out. I was getting out
Okay.
about a week, and I was working the lunch line. I'd always worked lines, and that's where I learned to chef.
Okay.
Was in prison. I went to their classes. Didn't mean nothing out here,
Yeah.
but it meant something in there,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Taught you a
And so
skill
I
anyway.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a skill,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I was working the lunch line, and this dude come up, and I'm not trying to do stereotypical anything. I'm just going to call facts facts. He was a black dude, and he wanted more chicken.
Okay.
All right, that's fine, but I can't do it. Sorry,
Yeah.
buddy. You know, we have a quota. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. You know, I'm out in a week, dude. I'm not gonna do it. Sorry, buddy. And
Yeah.
so later on, I come out to go to the yard. He confronts me in the little cosplay there, and he starts puffing up and everything. And I'm like, dude, you know, it is what it is. You know, I said, I didn't do it. I'm not gonna do it. You know,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna force me to do it. So where are we at now? And I turned to look to see where the cop was.
Yeah.
You know, and I turned to see where he was, and by the time I turned back, the fist was right here, and so I caught it right in the teeth, and so he hits me, and you know, I moved my front teeth a little bit, and one of them wiggled a little bit, and I just looked at him and smiled,
Yeah.
you know, and I said, I'm out in a week. How long you got?
Yeah.
You know, and I noticed a change there. I mean, a year before, I would have been on him like hot stink.
Yeah.
You know, but something was altering, and I didn't know what it was, but something was changing.
I mean, do you think something was changing in you that way, or do you think it was because you were getting out and you were ready to go and nothing was going to jeopardize that? A little bit of both, maybe? Yeah.
I think that answers it,
Yeah.
because I actually gave a shit.
Yeah.
I actually wanted out.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like, you know, the first time I went down, okay, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know, and then a good portion of my second time, oh, this is where you're at. But towards the end, I started having feelings about that, especially the way CCA treated us. So
Yeah.
I got to say, I came away with something good from them. Don't
Yeah.
go there or you get the shit kicked out of you.
Yep, absolutely.
You know? So I wound up getting out. And of course, I back to Alaska, because
Okay, yeah.
that's where the crime was.
Yeah.
Back to Alaska. And then everything was really, really good until I ran into a buddy of mine that I'd met inside.
Yeah.
And he said he had some money backers.
Okay.
And we were gonna get out of the mix. We were gonna finally just get out of the mix. Let's do something normal. We're gonna build a property. Okay. We're gonna build a house.
Okay.
He had my financial backing, he said. So all he needed was somebody's name on everything.
All right. Red flags? Not at the time?
To the normal folks,
Yeah.
yeah. To the normal folks, sure. to me, I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds really good. I'm stupid. Um, and so we opened up a couple businesses.
Okay.
It cost like $38, dude. Businesses are easy to open. All you need is a business license. Those are cheap.
Yep.
Opened up a couple accounts and he did a lot of the moving around, but it was like, I don't know, three or $4,000 or something. He moved around between the businesses and just kept moving money around. Well, after 6 months, apparently this comes from all stuff I learned later. But apparently after like 6 months back then, you got off the blacklist. You're on the green list, which means that you can apply for like visas and shit.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's what he did. Okay. Now again, I'm thinking this is all, I didn't know enough about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is all we're still on the up and up. As long as the money gets paid back, as long as we pay back the credit cards, we should be fine. I didn't understand that it was fraud then. I didn't get it. And so we start building a home in Oregon. And I don't know if you know anything about what happened in the mid 90s, late 90s, or like around 98, 97. Big property drop.
Okay.
Oregon went through a big slam, dude. It was bad. It was a depression, and it's in its own right. People couldn't get off of nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the exact time we tried to sell this property. And I didn't deal with none of that, though. I didn't know exactly where it was. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't even know the builders.
Yeah.
It was just all in my name.
And you said this is in Oregon. So you met this guy up in Alaska, but you bailed and went down back to Oregon?
No. You did this from Alaska.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
This is all from Alaska. And so I didn't really know what was going on. Didn't know too much about it. So finally, we couldn't get off the property. So finally the pyramid fell.
Yeah.
You can only pay off credit cards with other credit cards for so long.
Yeah.
And so when it all came down to it, it was my name.
Yeah.
And, man, I thought about it hard. I thought about turning state's evidence or going, and testifying and against the other two guys that were involved.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I'm going to do time anyways. I don't want to get killed.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a snitch. I can't do that and go in. And so I took it all. It was $167,000.
Wow.
And that was on me. Got the
yeah.
Go ahead.
How much time did that buy you?
That bought me, again, about 4 or 5 years, give or take.
Man. So every time you're going in, it's like 4 or 5 years at a time.
Yeah, it was no little bits.
Yeah.
No little bits. And so the last time I'm in an FCI in Arizona in Tucson.
Okay. Not
in a CCA, not in a correction corporation, but I was in an FCI, and it was based on the crime and everything. It was a medium low.
Okay.
So it was pretty open, pretty mellow.
Not getting stabbed in the lunch line type of thing.
Not getting stabbed. Yeah, very mellow. In fact, I was working. I worked with the maintenance crew on that, and so we did, electrical and all this other stuff. So it was pretty open place. And the time I was there, I did a lot of thinking, while I was there. And I remember one night, and this is where the epiphany.
Okay.
This is the turn, man. And I can't reiterate enough that everybody will have them in their lives. Freaking listen to them. When you hear them, when you see it, when it happens, listen. Because I was in my rack. It was after lockdown, and I'm in my rack, and I'm reading a Harry Potter novel. I remember that.
Okay.
And I'm kind of half listening to my bunkie. He's above me, and he's older than me, but I wouldn't give him the bottom bunk. Those are worth diamonds.
Yeah.
So he was about, I want to say he was like 25 or 30 years older than I was at the time, and so I was about 30 at the time, give or take. It all kind of blends in, so my ages aren't always accurate, and I apologize for that.
No
but
worries. No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But I remember laying there, and he's talking about, what got him in and everything, and just talk about his story and everything. And I'm kind of half listening, half reading. And then he said something to me, and it was insanity. That's all I can. It was just pure insanity. He said, "Next time," and I stopped reading.
Yeah.
I was like, "What? Next time?" And I sat up and how old are you? And he told me his age. I can't remember his exact age, but he was 20, 30 years older than I was. And I was like, what the hell you mean next time? And he goes, "Oh, well, I got it all planned out, you know?" And it hit me so freaking hard that I was not where I was supposed to be.
Yeah. You didn't want to next time.
I was not looking. Yeah, I wasn't looking where I'm supposed to look. And this dude's saying next time, and I don't want there to be another next time.
Yeah.
And cliche, it's a cliche, but I'm going to say it. I started talking to God.
Yeah.
I said, do something. I can't do it. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired. I've been running for 20 years.
Yep.
I've been running. My legs are tired. My soul's tired. I'm tired. And I got out, and then that was, I spent the rest of that time just focusing on my mind and my body.
Yeah. I mean, you talked to God in a moment like that. I mean, did you feel like God talked back to you?
I felt he heard me.
Yeah.
I think he heard me.
Yeah.
I think he heard I think he understood that I wasn't just a rolling stone.
Yeah.
That I see it. I'm acknowledging it. I didn't hear any voices in my head or any smart ideas come out.
Yeah.
But something's changed. Something switched. And I said, help me out. Help me. And so the first thing I did was I got the weight pile. Second thing I did is started reading.
Yeah, weight
not
pile.
Harry Potter.
What'd you say?
Not Harry Potter.
Weight pile? What's that? Weight pile.
Weight pile.
Oh, weight pile. Got it.
Weight pile. Yeah. Okay. Started hitting the weight pile. When I left there, I was in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
My mind was a lot better. Wasn't perfect yet. We're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Never be perfect. But it was, I could see a future. Before I couldn't. I didn't even expect to live to be 30, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die in my 20s.
Hey, I think a lot of young men go through that. I went through that, and I didn't have the life you had,
Yeah.
Do you think, one question though, do you think, is any, I mean, this is your third, 4 or 5 year stint in prison, and this is the medium low, this is the place you get to have a lot of freedom. This is not the place that you're getting stabbed and thrown in the hole and you're basically starting a riot in prison. And why? I mean, do you think that God had any hand in putting you in the place, probably one of the best places you could be if you're going to go to prison, and you just end up with one bunkie that tells you, hey, next time, and it just makes you think? I mean, if it was me the first time I went, I would have been like, man, I'm never doing this again. Then you're back twice, then you're back 3 times. And it just takes one guy, one word, one place that you never would have been without the life you led, that just makes you, that's where you finally, the light bulb clicks on. I mean, what do you think about that? You think that's coincidence? I don't.
No, not at all. I think 110%. Why the heck was I in Arizona again?
Yeah.
Why the heck was I in Tucson, Arizona? My crime was in Alaska.
Yeah.
Now the federal prison system are all connected, but no, there was a hand. There was a hand that did that. And in retrospect, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I think he saw one of his fallen flock, and he saw his fallen flock trying to get up.
Yeah.
And he just helped he altered the scenery.
Yep.
And he gave me a little more to think about. And that's all it took.
Yeah, sometimes that's all it takes, right? Just
all it took.
Perspective shift, and just I've always said that. People who I've been around a lot of people. I mean, this isn't you because you said like drinking and stuff, but a lot of people whose lives are completely ruined by being a drug addict, drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and every single one of them, they never ever will get out of that life. They will never get sober. They'll never get clean until they want to. And it's just that. It's like one day they want to, and they make it happen. And I think that was probably that moment for you. Is just, man, where am I at? You have to want it.
Oh, I completely agree. It's one of those things where you keep banging your head against the wall, and nothing else comes but blood and bone, and you know that the textbook definition of insanity, right?
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Right. And I think at that point in my life, I think I finally had done enough damage to myself to actually hear it.
Yeah.
I never hurt nobody else. I never did. I never did a crime that would hurt somebody. I mean, you could say that, bank robbery, well, you're hurting the taxpayer. Well, okay. Well,
yeah, but you're not a violent guy.
If we go into something deep enough, yeah, I guess there is a little something there, that's going to affect. But
yeah,
but until that time, I actually thought that my fight was legitimate, and I think that's what drug addicts go through. I think they think that their lifestyle is legitimate at that moment in time. Yeah. And it takes a really, really hard lesson or a hard comment. It could be a comment, it could be anything, to really, really snap you out of that thought process.
Yeah.
But when I got out, I wound up going back to Alaska again, because that's where I was again arrested.
Yeah.
And I was so adamant about this that, and I don't think I was, I think I was in my late 20s when I was in doing that time. I'm trying to get the timelines right, but it all blurs in. The only reference I have is I know it's past 20 years from now.
Yeah.
That, because I don't pay restitution anymore because the 20 years lapsed.
Yeah.
That means I can get my taxes back.
Yeah. Well, it's impressive too for not going back to a life like that. It's impressive.
Well, I haven't even touched on the impressiveness. Yeah. And this is what I want to reiterate, especially to your viewers, is I did 7 years of parole.
Yeah.
Do you know what percentage of people can do that?
Not very many. If you're saying you did that and never got sent back, 1%.
1%.
You never violated. You never got sent back.
Not that last time.
Wow.
Nope. 7 years of parole, not probation.
Yeah.
Parole.
Yeah. I mean, if you messed up, you were going back to finish your sentence.
There's no question.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't get a strike.
Yeah. And
it was UAs constantly, which I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I never had a problem with that. So, and I remember after I was pretty close to being done in that 7 years, and my brothers were here. They were having kids. They'd gotten married, and during that 7 years, I'd went to all their weddings, except for my second oldest brother, this is all adopted, by the way. This isn't real.
Oh, these aren't. You
Second
didn't
oldest.
reconnect with your original family then?
Not at that time.
Okay.
That's later. But they were having kids and everything, and I'd had enough. I want to go home.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of it. And I'm so and in retrospect, I'm really, really glad that I left my shenanigans elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because it didn't hurt them. It hurt them that I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the best I could do at that time, is to be screwing up elsewhere.
Right.
Not in front of them. They came to see me one time, and that was on my first bit. And then I told my parents never to bring them again.
Yeah.
Never bring them here. I don't want them here. I love them to death. They don't need to see this. And so everything else was just on my onesies, and I just dealt with everything by myself. And but after that 7 years of parole, I finally was just like, okay, I'm going to go home. And so when I got released on parole, I got a plane ticket and I came home. And the first job that I had was with Brian.
Yeah.
It was
Chef.
because I sent out resumes before, like 6 months before I moved down.
Yeah.
And again, do you see the thought process now?
Yeah.
Do you see the change?
You actually thought about your future 6 months ahead of time, and we're planning ahead.
Right?
It's a big deal.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to send out these resumes. I'm going to give them to my mom, and she'll go to the restaurants, drop them all off. And so I finally moved back, and it was, I think that was my final coat coming off, so to speak, my final layer of skin.
Yeah.
Finally shedding, because when I touched the dirt back home, I knew the path.
Yeah.
And talking to God and everything, I knew this is where I needed to be. And I started working at where me and Brian work, and met my wife there.
Yeah.
She was my prep cook.
Nice.
And I met her there, and she was adopted.
Got some things in common.
Yeah, she was adopted from Korea at the age of 3.
Wow.
And amazing, right? Yeah. Amazing. Her story's amazing too. Yeah. And her family, 3 pastors, intermediate family. I mean, it was like, just listen when he talks to you.
Yeah.
Just listen when he talks to you, because these things will change your life. And originally her and me, her dad and myself, we didn't get along real well at the beginning, because he'd heard it all.
Yeah.
In fact, one day we got into a heated conversation over the phone because he said I was shacking up with her because she was renting from a place, and we were. Okay, yeah, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But there was no ill intentions, and that's what he didn't understand. And then I tell him, I'm not going to put up with this. I said, I'm adopted. I'm just like her and this and that, and I am not going to put up with your shenanigans. She's in a bad place. I'm going to keep her safe. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. And he didn't care for that. That bugged him. Yeah. So he called my dad. He searched my dad.
Really?
Searched on the website and called my dad and told on me. And he calls up my dad and he says, look, are you Larry Bailey? Are you the dad of Eddie Bailey? And he says, well, you're Eddie, your son's shacking up with my daughter, and he's 40 something.
Yeah, right.
And he says, well, he says he's adopted and all this other stuff. And my dad's like, well, he is, and so everything I told him was the truth.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean,
you guys
that man and I.
Good relationship now?
Oh, we're peas in a pod.
Okay.
Man. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Man,
and just like I love.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, I was just saying, you definitely, like you said, coming home and, setting foot in the dirt of your home, and then, you didn't just get sent home. You made it a home. And I don't think it was a home until you came back, later in your 30s. It was always a place you were from, but I don't think it didn't sound like it was home until you lived your life and came back and actually made it home. That's what it sounds like to me.
I think what it is more. I think you're right, but let's switch it. I didn't live my life till I got home.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah.
I hadn't been living my life.
Yeah.
I've been jumping from one problem to another problem to another problem. I hadn't tried to live my life.
Yeah.
And then I got home, met my wife, and started living my life for me, and for her, and under what God says. Be good to people, be gentle to people, give people the benefit of the doubt, but don't be a sucker.
Yeah.
I'm going to reiterate that. Don't be a sucker. The Bible doesn't tell you. I mean, I hear this all the time on different podcasts and different YouTube videos where people are like, well, you need to, because the Christian's out there preaching God, and he's saying, yeah, if you kill your babe, you're going to die. You're going to go to hell, and things like that. And, well, that's not intolerance. That's following the word of God.
Yeah.
And so, and the word of God doesn't say go out there and just take everything and just take it with a grain of salt and you're fine. No, there's morals, there's righteousness and there's truth. And the big thing is the truth. And that's something I never lied in court. None of my courts. In fact, on 2 occasions, I pled guilty to my arraignment.
Wow.
And my attorney almost hit me.
Yeah, he's like, stop talking, Eddie. Yeah. Stop talking.
Yeah, because I knew what I did, and I knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I did it, but I'm not gonna bow down to trying to get out of something that I did.
Yeah.
And I think we got too much of that in the world.
I think so too. I do like the perspective and kind of flipping that on how that you didn't really start living until you came home. The rest of that, is practice.
It really was. Rest of it was almost like a restart. Yeah. I mean, it's late. I mean, my kid, I have an 8-year-old boy now.
Awesome.
Congratulations, and he's just thank you. And he's a precious. Oh my goodness, he's got the biggest heart. Yeah. And in fact, today I had to scold him, and since I don't do it very often, he immediately started crying.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling bad. But I got to stick to my guns.
That's the role, man.
But
got to be.
But
dad.
It's like, in my household, there's no yelling.
Yeah.
We don't yell here. I don't yell at my kid if I don't have to.
Yeah.
If it's something where he's just kind of pushing the limit to the point where, all right, I got to raise my voice now, I'll do that. But I think I can count in the 8 years he's been alive. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've raised my voice.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because I found out another interesting fact about humans. Yelling is a precursor to violence.
Yeah.
110% it is. You hardly ever see a fight start out of a calm pool of water.
Absolutely.
And I had a buddy of mine, he was going through a divorce, and I had a spare room here, and he was actually my chef. Where I was working, and I actually put him up for almost 3 years here so he could get himself together. And I think I charged him like $400 a month or something.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, I'm not made of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm a single income, but you do God's work where you can.
Yeah.
And you help where you can. And it doesn't mean that you have to give your extra. It means give what you don't have.
Yeah.
That's when you change.
Yep. That's
when you really, really evolve into what the path was meant to see.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I've been, let's see, me and my wife, we've been married now for 11 years this year.
Great.
And I did find my siblings.
Yeah. Reconnected
about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I went through, it was my wife's mom that got me on Ancestry.
Okay.
She got me on Ancestry.com, and I found a cousin in Texas. Apparently, that's where I'm from. Our clan was originally from Texas, which explains a lot about me. I get it now. But I found the cousin, and then apparently one of my sisters had been actively searching.
For you, or just the family history?
Anyone.
Yeah.
And so I wound up finding them.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in another conundrum.
What's that?
I didn't expect myself to be the most well-rounded.
Yeah.
I didn't expect another trial so fast. And it works in me. It works in my heart right now. It's I finally met them.
Yeah.
They came up on vacation the first time about 4 years ago, and I had my adopted parents be there to chauffeur.
Okay.
And to because I didn't know what was going to happen. And so one of my brothers who had got adopted with the two brothers got adopted.
Yep.
My brother Chris and my brother Jason got adopted together, and Jason died when Chris was 12.
Oh, wow.
And it was a horrid death. He fell into a river.
Yeah.
And died. And then my sister found him first. Found Chris. And Chris, I guess, he had fallen off the deep end, and he'd been a transient for a lot of years trying to search for somebody. Yeah. And he'd been to Texas. He'd went to Texas a couple times searching for people. And then now they both live in the same house now in California.
Okay.
But they're still stuck, in 1978, and I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard because I want to help them, but I can't. Not the way that they want.
Yeah.
Their household's a mess. My sister has 12 grandkids, 4 daughters, 1 son. And she adopted her son's son. And they it's not a good, they're going through their own trials.
Yeah.
And I don't know at this point in my life, I have a mortgage now.
Right. Yeah.
I have a family. And originally when they first came down, I think they actually thought I would just up and leave and move in with them.
Oh, got you.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to go in and be your enforcer. Those days are way past.
Yeah.
I said, I'm too old for that stuff now. Yeah. And that's originally what they kind of wanted me to do, was because Chris, I look like a monster in compared to him.
Okay.
My brother and sister. I'm huge.
Yeah.
In comparison, well, I am 6'3",
okay,
220 pounds, but they're both like 5'5", 5'7" or something. Wow. I mean, they're little.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. Maybe I was the milkman. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. But DNA don't lie.
Yep.
So, but their big problem was that her daughters had all picked douchebags.
Yeah.
Lamos, just gross people.
Yeah.
And Chris can't do much because he's little. They wanted me to go over there. Man. Well, you're bigger than Chris, and I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. That's too bad. I mean, I'm glad that you reconnected with him, but I mean, I think you're living proof that it's never too late for somebody to start living. I mean, maybe there's a way for you to help them start living their life. You know.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
We just went camping. We just went camping together here this summer.
That's awesome.
This a few weeks ago we went camping, and I stayed camping with him for a couple days. And I'm trying to get him to understand because my brother Chris has a serious drinking problem.
Okay.
Like me, I used to drink. I still have a beer every so often, but I don't really drink anymore.
Yeah.
And but in that time, the whole time I spend is just trying to trace his thought process and give him other options.
Right.
In the thought process, you know, and I'm working on that with him. But it's gonna have to be long distance.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you don't need need the drama, but I mean, you can love them, you know.
Well, and I'm trying to get him to understand, and this is kind of, I think, what you're trying to explain, and what I fervently believe. We are not destined to do anything.
Yeah.
We are not destined for the path that we chose at a specific moment in our lives. Yeah. That is not our destiny, that path. At any given time, we can change our path. You just have to do it, and you have to want to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, you can't. You know, all this stuff about career criminals. Yeah, there's a lot of career criminals, and it's sad, and it's horrible. It's not a necessity.
Yeah.
It's not normal. Normal is the ability to change and alter. We are, as a species, we're not only great adapters, but we're great alterers.
Yeah.
Because we'll alter an environment to benefit us in a heartbeat. You know, and that goes with everything.
Yeah.
We do as humans. I mean, we you can alter your stance, you can alter your path, you can alter your everything. You just have to choose to do it. And that means you got to listen to him.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to listen to it. I don't know what I believe in God, other people believe in it. Listen to that person. You know?
Yep.
Listen. Because you're not bound to those chains, man.
For sure.
You're not.
You know, when you say alter, you know, you can alter, you just got to change it. You know, when you were saying like getting out, you know, you weren't going to go back, right? A total reset. But you spent 7 years on parole. You know, I mean, that goes to show you right then and there. And you were back in Alaska at that time, right?
Yep.
So
yep.
It's not like you were far from the same people you once knew and the same people that you might have run around with. I mean, and that's another thing I've seen time and time again. People can go years, stay clean, you know, stay crime free. They run into one guy they used to hang around at the bus stop. Next thing you know, they're back in some trap house somewhere and they're doing drugs. So, I mean, how did you navigate that? I mean, how do you merge back into society and stay away from the people, especially up in Alaska? It's a little bit harder than some big metropolises. How do you stay away from people and stay clean, and just
stay out of trouble?
Yeah, stay out of trouble.
I changed who I hung out with.
Yeah, that was a big part. Change the friend group.
I started getting into more management positions.
Okay.
I managed KFC A&W up there. I managed Denny's up there.
Yeah.
And during that time, and I started hanging out with people that had more in common with what I had right then.
Okay.
You know, which you're not 100%. You're still a little broken. You're still trying, and that's what I wanted, was the triers.
Yeah.
I wanted to hang out with those people that are doing the same thing I'm trying to do. Yep. You know, we're all just trying to get to the next level. And that meant, unfortunately, to cutting ties, man.
Yep.
Every so often on Facebook, because I never changed my Facebook. I have it, but I'll get on Facebook like every 6 months or something. And every so often I'll see somebody from the past on there giving me a what's up or whatever.
Yep.
I never respond. And the reason I don't respond is that wasn't who I was supposed to be. What they saw was what they a broken guy being freaking had his path laid out by the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a path laid out that was easy. And that wasn't the path I was supposed to be on. And that's who they knew. They knew Wingnut.
Yep.
They knew Short Bus. You know, they knew a guy that, you know, and push come to shove would jump into any battle. All right. I wasn't that anymore. You know, I made I made a specific choice to not be that.
Yeah.
You know, and it went right down to the marrow, you know, and, you know, it's like, you know, like my adopted brother and sister here, or my adopted brothers here, they live in town with me, with mom and dad, and they live in town. And they haven't spoken in over 3 years.
Wow.
Over something stupid.
Yeah.
And I still talk to both of them. I can't talk to them together because they never get together anymore.
Yeah.
It's messed up Christmases. It's messed up birthdays. The cousins can't see. I mean, it's just a mess.
Right.
You know? And the funny thing is, I can try as I might to tell them they're being silly and look at the bigger picture. They're not going to listen. And that's how I feel about that old crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I had to cut it.
Yep.
I had to cut it because they're not going to listen. They're not going to listen until they hear it.
Yeah, because they want it, you know.
Yeah, and so that was a big part of it. You're right. Was just I had to alter who I hung out with, and a lot of times I hung out with, you know, you had to have roommates up there. Yeah. You can't survive in Fairbanks, Alaska, without a roommate if you're making $40,000 a year.
Yep.
It's the same cost of living as LA. You just can't. And having that and like, I mean, I had the server girl that was super cool. Her boyfriend, he worked at a different restaurant, and we all just did kind of the similar thing.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to live. You know, go to work, come home, and sometimes have some fun, you know, go out and do something. But for the most part, you resetting, you know, just pushing the reset. And they were great. You know, they did great by me, you know, and I got no complaints with them as roommates. And even, you know, with me going from relationships to relationship, they dealt with that, you know. And again, I was still having troubles with the whole truth thing, when people not showing their true face.
Yeah.
While I was in Alaska, I was engaged 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah, all 3 of them fell through.
You know, I mean, that sounds like a good thing. You met your wife.
It met was, your wife. Exactly.
Now you got your son. You know,
there was a reason.
Yeah.
But I'd also noticed that I changed in a lot of other ways. Like there was this one girl I was engaged with, and I'll tell you this story real quick. There's this one girl I was engaged with up there. This is during my parole time. And I was managing the KFC at the time, and I had this kid working with me, and me and this other girl, we were engaged. We had a little place, and he wanted to get away from his parents because he's still living with his parents. Kid was like 19 or almost 20, and I said, "Well, we got a spare room." I said, "If you really want that, you work for me," because he was one of my employees. I said, "You work for me, so I'll rent your room, which is upstairs. It's pretty much all the upstairs. You can have that upstairs. And you don't got to worry about getting to work, because I'll get you to work. Trust me."
Yeah.
You know, and we'll do it this way and get you out even.
Yeah.
Smooth, you know, and with no stress, you know, and I got your back. So I lasted about 6 months. And I started seeing a little bit of warning signs. And so one day I picked him up from work and I was driving him back to the house, and I pulled over on the side of the road, and I looked at him and I said, "Are you having sex with my fiance?"
Yeah.
And I looked and I said, "Look, okay, I need the truth. I don't want to lie." I said, "If you lie to me, I'm going to know, and I'm going to pull you out of this car. I'm going to beat your, I'll beat you down right here on the street." I said, "That's your two choices, the truth or a beat down. Which one do you want?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Yes." Yeah. And I said, "How long?" He's, I don't know, about a month. And I said, "That's what I figured." And I said, "Okay." And this is what I was trying to portray, was a calmness,
Yeah.
and that's what I was trying to tell everybody and teach everybody. Just think about shit before you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Be calm. Think about the right path, and I was getting there. I wasn't 100% yet. I'm still not, but I'm more than I was then.
Yep.
And so I told him, "Okay, this is how it's going to play out. We're going to go home. I'm going to pack up my stuff and I'm going to leave." I said, I don't abide that." I said, "Now your job is to keep her off me."
Yeah.
And he said, "What? She loves me." I said, "Okay." I said, "Fine." I said, "You're going to keep her off me while I pack my stuff and I leave." And because I'm on parole.
Yeah.
I didn't want no muss.
Yep.
And I said, "Okay, I'm okay. Today you become a man," is what I told him. And we got back to the house. I started packing up. She started asking, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I said, "I'm leaving." She said, "Why are you, what?" And I said, "You're cheating on me. He done already told me you're cheating on me, so I'm leaving." She went at me.
Yeah.
To this kid's credit, he did it.
Yeah.
He did it. I give that kid that day he became a man, because he stepped between. And that girl beat the living hell out of that poor kid.
Yeah.
She did. And they deserve each other for that.
That's right. Better, like you
But
said, getting involved with that and having something happen, you end up back in prison.
yeah, I wasn't gonna have it, because I was done. I'm done, and it was hard to walk away. It was hard to do it, but this is another feeling I seriously have, is when somebody cheats in such a gross way, they're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
Until they find peace, until they find the right path, they're gonna do it again. And I wasn't interested in being involved in that. And so, yeah. He took his beat down like a champ.
Yeah.
I didn't fire him.
Yeah.
I was, no. I wasn't firing. I wasn't really, I mean, it hurt, but I didn't wish her any animosity either.
Yeah. You really turned a whole new leaf,
Well, it's that you just take a step back every time. And this is what I try to tell the kids and they're screwing up too at work, and they got their lives, and then take a step back for a minute.
Yeah.
Every time you question something, every time you have that feeling in your gut, because that's God talking, take a step back and think about it.
Yep.
Sean, the guy I had, my buddy Sean, the guy I had staying here, the reason he moved, he was going through that divorce. He was going to have to rent another place because the other guy that he was staying with was also divorced.
Okay.
And he said something to me, and it really, it made me understand what I was trying to build. And I even knew it back then. I didn't know who, and I didn't know when. That was God's plan.
Yeah.
But when he came and he called me up and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to be having to move out." do you still have that spare room? Is it possible? And I was like, well, Sean, yeah. So there's a couple rules, but other than that, how does 400 a month sound?
Yeah.
Just to help me with electric and water, because you're going to be using those and internet. And he says, that sounds fair. And I said, okay. And then he'd been here for about a year. And then I finally asked him, I said, what made you call me? I mean, we're friends.
Yeah.
But I noticed you didn't call anybody else. I said, "What? I'm genuinely curious."
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "I needed to be around love." And he said, "I needed it really bad." And he said, "I was in a bad spot, and I was feeling really down." And he said, "I know you, and I know what you're building." And he said, "I needed to be around that."
Yeah.
And that hit me.
The special,
yeah. It was huge to me. It's just words, but it meant I chose the right path.
Yeah.
I mean, my son he may not be a scholar. I don't know what he's going to do when he gets older, but he's going to know he's loved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My wife's going to know she's cared for and loved.
Yep.
And if anything that all my history gave me was give it free, man. Don't be dumb.
Yep.
Don't put yourself in bad positions, but give that love freely.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing we can affect. There's a lot in this world we can't affect. I can't go over to the Middle East and make peace.
Yep.
But everybody that talks to me and everybody I connect with can see that I care. Humans scare the hell out of me. Don't get me wrong. I mean, as a species, we are a crazy, crazy species.
Absolutely. I would agree with that.
Yeah. But you'd be amazed what love can do.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's enough out there anymore. I think everybody's looking for their clicks and their ticks and their talks and all this other nonsense.
Yep.
And I think that people are lost. And I think people are mentally ill and they're not diagnosed properly. And I think there's a lot of failure going on.
Yeah.
So in the little bit of space that you make, the little footprint you have, make it about love.
I love it. It's a good message, man. Man, you've had one hell of a reset. I guess one last question before we go. I was really just kind of curious. I mean, would you change anything about the life you've had? I mean, anything at all, or do you think everything you've been through has been necessary to kind of create who you are today? You think you'd be sitting here talking about love and everything we've discussed if it hadn't been for your hardships?
I think I can't quote it because I don't know it specifically, but there's several people in the Bible that God took everything from.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, they ended it with love. They ended it with compassion.
Yeah.
It hurt. It was bad. But God doesn't give you, God gives you just enough you can handle. He's never going to give you more than you can handle. And I think without that path, I don't think I would have learned near enough.
Yeah.
I really don't. I wish it wasn't. A lot of times I think about myself right now and the would have beens and could have beens.
Mm-hmm.
And I do. I think about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd be the man I am today.
Yeah.
I think I'd be caught up in something else. I think something else would have altered my path,
Right.
And a lot of times, and this is in scripture too, a lot of times the hardest road is beautiful salvation at the end.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a hard road, man. And you can't give up on it.
Man. great advice, man.
Well, it's to me, it's not necessarily advice. It's just, I think it's reality.
Yeah, lessons learned.
Yeah. And you can't learn nothing if you don't do nothing.
Yep.
And if everything's handed to you, you might turn out to be a good person.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, the math don't fit that.
Right.
All you got to do is just read it. Just read the math on that, and it's. I know more messed up kids out there that had everything they could have thought of.
Yeah.
And they're still jacked up.
Yeah.
So it's not about what you have. It's what you learned.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to teach my son that.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And man, I mean, Eddie, you're just a fascinating guy. I'm really glad. I really appreciate you coming on the show, man, and really sharing your story. I mean, as everybody knows, everybody has a past. I do. You do. Everybody does. But, it's important for everybody to kind of remember, that the past isn't really what defines somebody. Doesn't define who that person is, but it really is what shapes them and the kind of who they ultimately become. So I'm really glad that, you've become and, continuing to become, that man that you're meant to be. And I really hope that you get that opportunity. It sounds like you already have been. I hope you continue to sink your teeth into this life and keep going down the right path, brother. It's been really good to meet you, and I wish you all the best.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Nice to meet you too, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Well, yeah, it was good, and I really appreciate you talking with you today. Great conversation.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
All right.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Eddie Bailey. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Stranger Conversations podcast wherever you listen, as well as on social media at stranger.convo.pod so you don't miss out on the conversations to come. Also, take a minute to review the show and give it a 5-star rating at your favorite platform. This is a great way for us to grow our audience. If you're interested in being the next guest on the Stranger Conversations podcast, visit strangerconversationspodcast.com and sign up via the show's calendar. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Hammer Defense. Hammer Defense makes the world's first go-anywhere self-defense cell phone case, perfect for protecting both you and your phone. You can learn more at hammerdefenseproducts.com, linked in the show notes. But before you hit the buy button, make sure you tell them I sent you by using discount code TAYAZ12 at checkout and receive 10% off and free shipping. Thanks for listening. I'm Tay Jones, and we'll chat later.